It's a chess game. And so we need to remove the players from the board, and we need to enable those that are still out there to continue to move forward.
So we will now have under consideration Senate Bill 1396. Gentleman from 29.
Thank you. I'd ask for unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of Senate Bill 1396.
Unanimous consent has been requested. Not seeing any objections. The gentleman from 29 has the floor.
Thank you. So this is another code cleanup piece of legislation that came to us late from the body across the rotunda. But this one actually was referred to us from our legislative council, and it deals with repealing a section of code relating to our legislative membership in the Pacific Fisheries Task Force, which was a multi-state task force to advocate for protecting and fostering fishing in the Pacific Northwest. There has not been any activities in this task force at least since 2022. Oregon has already repealed their participation in this task force. So with this repeal, and by my count, I think we're close to 200 sections of targeted repeal this session. I just wanted to mention how much we've done to repeal this year, just so you get that kind of that stat going in your head. But this one deals with that Pacific Fisheries Task Force, and I'd ask for your support.
Any further debate on Senate Bill 1396? Not seeing any. The clerk will unlock the machine and record the vote. Does anybody wish to change their vote? Rebel. Yeah, Ham. We're taking a vote. Anybody wish to change their vote? Roll call shows 67 ayes, 3 absent and excused. Senate Bill 1396 has passed. Any change to title?
No correction to title.
Senate Bill 1396 will be returned to the Senate. Gentleman from 22.
Mr. Speaker, ask unanimous consent.
Again, unanimous consent.
I'll hold my request.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the roll call used for suspension of rules on House Joint Memorial 22 now be used for the suspension of rules on House Bill 948, making the immediate consideration of House Bill 948 possible.
The roll call used for suspension of rules on House Joint Memorial 22 was 68 ayes and 2 absent and excused. So we will now have before us House Bill 948. Gentlemen, he's got his head blocking your numbers. 21?
21, Mr. Speaker.
That's what I thought. Yep.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous, do we call you that, by the way, Mr. Speaker?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't know why you would call me anything else.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Bill 948.
Unanimous consent has been requested. Not seeing any objection. House will have under consideration House Bill 948.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good body. House Bill 948, well, I'll just give you a little history. So I co-chair our Economic Outlook and Revenue Assessment Committee. We generally meet right at the beginning of session or right before to help the legislatures come up with a revenue recommendation, an estimate. Per the Constitution, we have to have a balanced budget. As part of that, we need to make an estimate for what our revenue number might be. So what 948 does is it asks LSO to help us make an annual revenue estimate using their existing resources that they have Right now, we feel at a bit of a disadvantage to the gentleman on the second floor. They have professional staff and economists and have a lot more time to prepare this. So this would help us get another data point in making that revenue assessment. And with that, I would ask for your green light.
Any further discussion on House Bill 948? Representative from, again, is 18.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the good gentleman yield to a question?
Will the gentleman yield to a question?
Gentleman yields.
Gentleman yields. Good lady.
Thank you, good gentleman. I'm just curious because right now my understanding is the folks at DFM have access to considerable resources and economists and national data and state data, et cetera. Would LSO be utilizing the same pool of data, or what would their resources be in doing this? And I assume that DFM would continue to do the work that they do. This would be supplemental. Just help me walk through what the difference would be there.
Gentleman 21.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good lady from 18. Yes, DFM, the gentleman on the second floor, can continue to make their own estimate as part of this process. This would help us just get another data point for us. Sometimes we use that budget number, sometimes we don't. Right now, with the resources we have, it'd probably just be a simple regression analysis using historical data. But maybe over time, we might be able to tap into some available resources as the bill contemplates there. Maybe some outside expertise to help us.
Gentleman from 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman yield for a question.
Gentleman yield.
Gentleman yields.
Gentleman
Thank you,
yields.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you, good gentleman. Are there any description or qualifications as to who these outside sources might be that might be solicited for input?
Gentleman from 21.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good gentleman from 15. Yeah, on page 2, line 18 and 19 talks about associations or organizations, other government agencies. Some of the ones that we've used in the past is economists from our and professors from our universities, economists from the Department of Labor and other government agencies. So I think those are some that we'd tap into for resources.
Thank you.
Any further debate? Not seeing any, not hearing any negative debate. House Bill 948 is before the House. Clerk will unlock the machine. You'll record your vote. Has everybody voted? Or 13 is not here. Wheeler. Roll call shows 61 ayes, 4 nays, 5 absent and excused. House Bill 948 has passed the House. Is there any correction to title?
No correction to title.
House Bill 948 will now be sent to the Senate. Gentleman from 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump onto that back page. I'm asking unanimous consent that the roll call used for suspension rules on House Joint Memorial 22 now be used for the suspension rules on House Bill 967, making it possible for the immediate consideration of House Bill 967.
The roll call used for suspension of rule on House Joint Memorial 22 with 68 ayes, 2 absent and excused. The House will now have under consideration House Bill 967. Gentleman from 21.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Bill 967.
Unanimous consent has been requested. House Bill 967 is now properly before the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good body. I'm pitch hitting here for the good gentleman from 20. What 967 does is it helps our state troopers get a pay raise. So they have asked originally for about $18 million. Given the budget situation where we're at, I don't think we can reach that as much as we want to support our troopers and support law enforcement. So what this does is it gets them another $4 million for pay increases. And it splits that down the middle. So $2 million will come, it's all coming out of the liquor account, but the way it's distributed is $2 million will come out of the general fund, and then the other half will come out, $2 million from what would have flowed down to the locals. Depending on how you look at it, about 1.1 from the cities and about 900,000 from the counties. What this does for our troopers, on average, and this is just an average because there's different pay rates, they're going to get about another $12,000 for a pay raise. That's about 13% average pay increase for these troopers. So again, we recognize it's not what they asked for, but it is a good first step in what we can get them, especially in this budget year. The counties have stayed neutral on this, is my understanding, and I'd appreciate your support and ask for your green light on this.
Further debate on House Bill 967. Gentleman 25.
Will the good gentleman stand for a question?
The gentleman stand for a question.
Gentleman yields.
What's the
Gentleman
plan?
yields.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What's the plan to infill the monies that are going to be taken from the counties and cities? And why not just take the money to fund this directly from the general fund?
Gentleman 21.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and gentleman from 25.
Gentleman from 25 remain standing.
Thank you. I think a lot of options were looked at, and this was one of the ways that we were able to settle on. If you look at how that's spread out across the various counties, it turns into about thousands of dollars per county. It depends on how much liquor distribution your county gets, but it turns into a smaller amount.
Any further good lady from 4.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to debate.
Lady has the floor.
Thank you. I appreciate the intent of this. I support ISP 100%, but this is going to cost, it's a tax shift in my opinion. It's going to shift down to property taxes in my county and in my city. My city's facing roughly $29,000 hit on this. In my county, I've heard anywhere between 180,000 to half of that, so 90,000. And they've already seen a decrease in this fund in the past. So this is directly going to come out of those budgets, which then entails a property tax increase on the citizens in my area. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to vote no for this.
Gentleman from 25.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to debate.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I really appreciate the good gentleman bringing this bill forward. I really appreciate what our Idaho State Police do. But as many have kind of alluded to so far, this is kind of a tax shift. But there's also another unintended consequence. Right now, it's like they're trying to retain a lot of law enforcement officers with the Idaho State Police. We go and we create another increase with the wage. That means that our local law enforcement will now be competing with those wages, which has an indirect impact on our property taxes. We want to ensure that our law enforcement are taken care of, especially at the local levels, the city and the county levels. And I think that this will put a disproportionate impact on our local law enforcement and for our sheriffs and for our chiefs of police to go and increase the wages for everybody else across the board. And so with that, I'll be a no. Thank you.
Any further debate? Gentleman 24.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate for and against.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you. I'm much the same as the others on this. I like the idea of supporting the state police. We know they have issues that we need to solve. The first time I saw this bill, the liquor, when that is distributed, it goes into 2 different accounts, a state government account and a locals account. The first draft of this took the money out of the state government account, which essentially would have been a general fund reduction. I liked that, that worked. The redo on this then takes half of it out of the locals, which takes it out of the counties and cities, and I don't think we should do that. So as much as I like the idea of helping the Idaho State Police on this, I think we need to do it back out of the general fund. So I'd ask for your red light on this. Thank you.
Gentleman from 17.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate in favor of the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
Fellow legislators, the ISP is in a desperate situation. In North Idaho, we have 2 districts where they are about 50% understaffed. In northeastern Idaho, there are 10 counties where they are similarly very seriously understaffed. The problem is that the troopers leave for better paying positions, and I think you've all seen the chart in our local governments and in neighboring states. Something absolutely has to be done. This isn't enough. This is the bare minimum. And what they really need is about $10 million or $20 million so that they can retain the best and the hardest working troopers and provide the services they provide when there are auto accidents, when there are thefts, when there are tragedies on the highways. We need this $4 million, but we need more, a lot more. And there are other ways to get more, such as the gas tax, which historically did go to ISP and for about 80 years, and then it got switched a couple of years ago to go to the general fund. This needs to pass, and additional bills need to pass to bring our ISP up to a professional level.
Gentleman from 26.
To debate the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. To debate in favor of the bill. Good ladies and gentlemen, ISP is bleeding of troopers. Lewiston, as the good gentleman from 17 had said, as far as not having enough troopers. Last I saw the numbers, I believe there was maybe 5 or 6 road troopers in that district, maybe 2 or 3 sergeants to cover that huge district. What's going to happen is everything is going to fall. If there's a crash and there's not a trooper on duty or not one around, he could be 100 miles away. That's going to fall onto the counties and the cities. They need this wage to retain the current troopers they have and maybe even recruit some in. We are at a point now, at a pivotal point. If we don't take care of ISP at this time, I'm afraid we're going to lose more troopers, and there's going to be less troopers out there to even back up. I know in the district I live in, Lincoln County counts on those troopers to back up those county deputies. The majority of the time, those deputies may only have 1 deputy on shift, maybe 2 at the most. But if there's a domestic, a lot of times, a domestic dispute, a lot of times they will call ISP to back them up. And all these districts are going to start losing more and more troopers. And we need this increase, which isn't what ISP was needing. We need this increase to help retain and hopefully recruit troopers to ISP. Thank you.
Gentleman from 4.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, sir. It's obvious there's general agreement that we need to pay our troopers more money. I've had discussions with the commander in my area, District 1. We're down 10 troopers, so we have a serious problem here. But realistically, folks, what we've got to do is we've got to stop playing shell games with money. If we're going to fund the troopers, it's got to come out of the general fund. We're taking it out of the liquor, which is going to affect my county and my city in particular. We're going to have to come up with that shortfall and find a way to fund that. So let's go back to the general fund and let's give the troopers the money that they deserve.
Gentleman from 15.
The debate.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I'm gonna vote for this bill because it's the only thing in front of me to provide some money for the troopers. Vital service that I think everyone is in this chamber agrees is a proper function of government. But if I see that board showing more red lights than blue, than green, I'm gonna vote red, because I think maybe what the real solution here is for the powers that be that control the budget to maybe come up with a better solution than this, especially if we're looking at having over $100 million left over in the budget from what I've heard. Thank you.
Any further debate? Not seeing any. Would the good gentleman from 21 like to close the debate?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Appreciate everybody's comments. I'll just address some of those. There could be lots of ideas of how to fund this, but this is the bill that's before us and likely the one that we have this session. This is what the gentleman from 20 negotiated with the different parties. If you look at the total impact, like I said, let's take my county, for example, Ada. It's the largest that's going to be impacted. This is 0.00 or 0.058% of their budget, not even about 0.5% of their budget. It's a small amount. In some counties, in fact, the state troopers are paid less than the local officers there, and so they're having a tough time competing. The director of the state police, Colonel Gardner, did tell us in committee that he is committed to the local organizations that they would not laterally hire away from them for the next 3 years by getting this pay increase. So if that can help some of our locals there with retention. And as the good gentleman from 26 pointed out, that often on calls, our local law enforcement does call in the state police. They're helping and assisting, and they're not seeking reimbursement. So to that sense, I feel like it's okay to ask for the locals to chip in a little bit here on the help that they are receiving. And I would ask for your green light. Thank you.
Thank you. The clerk will unlock the machine. And members will record their votes. Has everybody recorded their vote? Anybody wish to change their vote? The clerk will read the pair.
Palmer votes aye. Hostetler votes nay.
Roll call shows 50 yeas, 18 nays, 2 absent and excused. House Bill 967 has passed the House. Are there any additional corrections to title?
No correction to title.
Hearing none, House Bill 967 will be sent to the Senate. Gentleman from 22.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the roll call used for suspension of rules on House Joint Memorial 22 now be used for the suspension of rules on House Bill 959, making possible the immediate consideration of House Bill 959.
The roll call used for suspension of rules on House Joint Memorial 22 was 68 ayes, 2 absent and excused. The House will now have under consideration House Bill 959. Good gentleman from 10.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the House cease the reading of House Bill 959.
Unanimous consent has been requested. Gentleman has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to possibly mention a previous bill that died a fateful death here on the House floor.
The gentleman has asked for a second unanimous consent. Not seeing any objection, the gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, good Mr. Speaker. I appreciate it. My friends, I thought what I'd do today, we're going to talk about House Bill 559. We're going to talk a little bit about property taxes. I think it's important to start off to remind this body that you all collect no property taxes and you spend no property taxes, but you set the laws that govern how those property taxes are collected and spent. Property taxes have been a fight in this state for many years. Back from the days when the 1% initiative in 1970 and 78, you've all seen the froze zone in my office where the legislature, after initiative passed, froze property taxes, trying to find a way to keep property taxes under control. And we went through all these different renditions through the years. As those renditions went on, one of the things the legislature ended up doing was having property taxes with a 5% cap for quite some time. They could take up to 5%, but no more than that. In 1996, that changed. In 1996, our local taxing friends came in and said, we want to lower the 5% cap to a 3% cap. But in exchange, we want the new construction on the other side. What you saw after that as Idaho grew as property taxes started growing again, and in some cases growing pretty fast. Some taxing districts kept their budgets under control, others didn't. It was a problem. What you also saw was a problem that was created by that bill was, and I think it was 96, but what you saw was you had a scenario where every time a new house was built or a new subdivision was built, an existing homeowner's taxes went up. I want you to think about that.
Okay.
You've lived in your house your whole life. Somebody builds a subdivision next to you, you have increased property taxes. Is that fair? I don't think so. And I don't think it's fair that the growth causes those of us who have been living here our whole lives to have increased property taxes. So for years, the legislature went back and forth trying to find a path forward. Here a few years ago, and you've all heard the name 389, we passed 389. What we did when we did 389 was we got a whole bunch of people in the room. We had the cities in the room, the counties in the room. We had business owners in the room. We had farmers in the room. We had everybody we could as we tried to find a path to allow new construction to pay for itself, but not shift those costs onto existing homeowners. Existing homeowners should not have tax increases because somebody built next to them. So that's what we tried to have accomplished with House Bill 389. 389 worked. The last 3 years, you've seen property taxes going down. You've also in this body done property tax relief with the good gentleman from 22 and others as we've taken and tried to lower property taxes each year. Almost every taxing district in the state has had tax relief 3-4 years in a row now because of your actions. There's still a concern though, because the new growth component in some cases does not create enough revenue to pay for the impact caused by that new growth. And if you're in a fast growing district, you have a scenario where the cap at 8%, by the way, stops that new control above it, and you have a situation where new growth actually lowers your property taxes. That's been the concern with our districts across the state with 389. By the way, last year, House Bill 389 affected 17 districts, some of them by as little as $22. Having said that, we realize there's a problem there, and we all agree that somehow we need for that new growth component to pay its way. We all agree on that. So we had a bill here on the floor the other day, House Bill 842. I think that, you know, I had worked with a lot of people trying to find a path forward, trying to soften the effects of 389. That bill came on this floor and had a fiery death because of one group in particular, but a couple of groups, the counties, particularly the cities, came out against it, and they said it had a poison pill. And that kind of disturbed me. Do you know what the poison pill was? The poison pill in the bill was the ability for voters to say our property taxes are too stinking high. We can go out and do an initiative and lower the budget. That was the poison pill. The ability for the voters to decide control over property taxes. And we killed it over that. Think about that. Poison pill, voter input, voter control. Sorry, that bothered me. Well, as we got done with the debate and it bothered me and I thought about it a lot, there's a problem, and particularly with our friends in the emergency services. And I just couldn't go without trying one more time to fix at least the component of 389 that affects our fire and our EMS. The bill before you just does a few things. It allows that initiative process. Nobody will use it, but it allows it. But it does a couple other things that unwind part of 389. One, it says that they cannot have any foregone. It says they can do the initiative, but the two big pieces that will help our firemen are, one, it allows the 8% cap for fire and EMS districts only. Listen to what I'm saying. Fire and EMS districts only to go to 15%. So the 5% cap in 96 went to an 8. Now it goes to a 15 only for EMS and for fire. The next thing it does is it allows them to use the previous year's mill levy. And let me explain why that's important. Before House Bill 389, taxing districts used the previous year's mill levy rate to multiply the value to come up with what the new construction value paid in taxes. The problem with that was as growing districts grow, the mill levy rate goes down. So 389 requires them to use the current year's mill levy rate. The problem with that is there's no budget, they guess. By going back to the previous year mill levy rate, you unwind a lot of the impacts of 389. You give those taxing districts a big bump. You make those new people pay more money. Now, I believe the current constraints in House Bill 389 with 90% of the new construction will help prevent those shifts to the existing homeowners, because that was the whole impact of 389. And so I think this is a fair compromise. Let me make it clear. This is different than the last bill. Cities are neutral. Counties are supportive. Our professional firemen are supportive. Our fire districts are supportive. Our EMS districts are supportive. This is a needed fix. This is a needed bill that will help in those situations where we're having a tough time providing those emergency services because of the growth, or in some of my friends' rural areas where you have all the people that come recreate in your backyard and you've got to pay for the problems they bring with them. I know that property taxes are confusing. I know that sometimes in this body, we think we know things we don't know. I get that. But I also know that this is a good bill. I think it's a fair bill. I think it helps address the concerns of 389 in those particular instances. We can fight over the cities and counties and all that stuff another day, but I think it will help, and I hope that you can support it, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Committee, any further debate on House Bill 959? Gentleman from 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would good gentleman yield for a question?
Gentleman yield to a question.
Gentleman yield.
Thank you.
Good gentleman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, good gentleman. Just to confirm, the portion of the bill that you had referred to as a poison pill, that is not in this version that we're voting on, is that correct?
Gentleman from 10.
Mr. Speaker and good gentlemen, there's an initiative process in this bill, but it only pertains to EMS and fire. It does not touch the cities. And let me explain that a little bit more if you'd like to know. There was a court case, and I think in 1993. You currently have in code the initiative process for cities and counties only. You have it at the state level in your constitution. You have it in code for cities and counties. There was a court case in the 90s, I think it was 93, that said that you could only raise taxes with the initiative process. You couldn't lower them. I think that's garbage. You should be able to go both ways. That's what the poison pill was. It is in this bill, but only for EMS and only for fire.
Thank you for the extended answer. I appreciate it.
More information is usually better when you think a poison pill is something that I think is a good thing.
Any further debate on House Bill 959? Not seeing any and not hearing any negative debate. Clerk will unlock the machine and we'll record your vote. Does anybody wish to change their vote? Clerk will lock the machine. The roll call is 67 ayes, 3 absent and excused. House Bill 959 has passed the House. Any corrections to title?
No correction to title.
House Bill 959 will be sent to the Senate. Next order of business, we will return to the 15th order, announcements. Are there any announcements? Gentleman from 12.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just an announcement that the majority will caucus at 2:30 this afternoon upstairs. Thank you.
I was hoping we weren't going to caucus. I should have never called on you. Good gentleman from 15.
For a privilege, Mr. Speaker.
Privilege is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to thank you for the clear, well-paced, erudite presentation of your responsibilities this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. If I might make just a personal announcement, this is probably the last time I'll have any of your attention. So till I get to the back, but anyhow, it's been 20 years. I started in 2006. And just to let you know, when I started in 2006, I was in the 4th place in that row, and I had Pete Nielsen, Paul Shepard, myself, and then James Rudke. So we had Peter, Paul, John, and James. We had the 4 apostles in that row when I first came. James went on to he retired for a while and went on to the Senate. My next seat assignment, I was sitting over in the middle here, and I was sitting by Guthrie. And I kept telling him what to do, and he got tired of my advice and went to the Senate. And so now I'm in the back row continuing to give advice, and people are probably tired of that too. And I noticed that even Palmer walked out on me, and Crane is all there all by himself. But what I'm trying to point out is during this time here, most of you may know that I served 1 term and then lost my reelection. I redshirted for 2 years and then came back. And the reason I came back is because I had made friends here. I had a lot of friends here, and I wanted to come back to the friends I had. Well, they're all gone, but I have new friends. At least I think I do. In my own mind, I have friends, yes. And so but the important part, I think, of this whole body is making friends. And I count all of you as friends. I don't always agree with you, but that's okay. You're entitled to be wrong. It doesn't bother me. But I encourage all of you to make friends while you're here, because this job can really wear you down if you don't have friends. So who you sit with, who you work with. And it reminds me of a verse in a song that we sing in our church, and it says, "Make friends of God's children, help those who are weak, forgetting in nothing his blessing to seek." And that's what I would like to leave with you as I finish up my term here. And I want to thank the speaker for allowing me to have the time here to, they started the music now already, so.
Mr. Speaker, could you put the House at ease for half a second?
The House will be at ease. Thank you.
So take the photographs and still friends in your mind. Hang it on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and their skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end that's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Well, thank you. Originally, when I got up here, I was thinking if somebody was going to make that motion, I was going to call them out of order. But I forgot. So with that, please be seated. The House will be back in order. Any further announcements? Gentleman from 23.
For an announcement, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has the floor.
The America 250 quilters, if you go up on the fourth floor, quilters from all over the state have submitted different America 250 exhibits, so take a chance, go up there and look at it. Thanks.
Any further announcements? Clerk may read.
House Business Committee will meet subject to call of the chair. Redmond, Chairman.
I won't even say what I was thinking. Gentleman from 22.
For a privilege and then a motion, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming back this afternoon. We need to go ahead and finish up the bills here on the second reading calendar and move whatever the Senate does so we can do that. We're going to kind of continue that process here until we can get done, hopefully. I was going to make a motion about the maybe unanimous consent to leave the speaker there for the rest of the session, but I'm going to hold off on that.
Seeing no objection. So moved, yes.
I can't make that motion, but I can say I move that we recess to the hour of 3 p.m.
I second the motion and the earlier motion.
Motion is to adjourn until 3 p.m. We are adjourned. Or recessed. Recessed till 3 p.m. Close. I only messed up once. Yeah. You know, this job is easy. Anybody can do it.
For complete legislative coverage,
And that's exactly what happened. You want to pull the tape? You can pull the tape because we now got video.
The dictionary defines a pledge as something that you give as a sign that you'll keep a promise. As Idahoans, that's what we're looking for in our elected leaders. A sign that they'll keep their word. Talk is cheap, and so are political promises, hidden agendas, and special interests. This is why we created the Citizens Alliance of Idaho Pledge, affirming the values Idahoans have been living by for over 100 years, inspired by the only two documents everyone has agreed to live by. So when an Idaho legislator signs our pledge, inviting voters to publicly hold them accountable, that's what we call political integrity. The pledge restores trust and honesty between voters and their legislators. It means protecting our shared values and ensuring your voice is heard in Boise. And that is priceless. Thank your legislator for having the political courage to sign the Citizens Alliance of Idaho Pledge. And if they haven't, it's time to ask why.
This bill, I think, it puts a stake in the ground that says we have a sovereign right to protect what's ours.